recorded, and that everyone will remain muted until they are speaking and or during the Q&A. Please feel free to post questions in the Q&A box as well as the chat box. I have great colleagues, faculty, and staff who you'll get a chance to meet, who can answer some of your questions as we go along. But before we get started, I just want to say on behalf of the SPA family, I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is well. If you have lost a friend or a family member to the virus, please accept our condolences and that, everybody is okay. When we think about COVID-19, we think about coronavirus. Think about how it has impacted your life and imagine how the impact has had on our students. But at this moment, I would like to do a check-in. Please put in the chat box one word to describe how COVID-19 has impacted your organization and or you. One word in the chat box that it has impacted your organization. And nonprofit organizations are definitely probably experiencing it significantly with the inability to provide direct services, the inability to continue to do the wonderful work that you have been doing, your funding streams, your funding mechanism, your resources. How have you been able to maintain your staff that are on payroll? So we are aware that our nonprofit, community-based, and even our municipal agencies have been impacted by this. But in the chat box, please put one word so that can kind of help shape our conversation this afternoon. With the responses, people had to register to participate in this, and there were some significant questions that we asked. So this presentation was designed based on those responses. So hopefully we can get to answer all of your questions and provide you with some information. So, and as we are all in this of technology, even I have spent a lot of time learning how to use. Okay. And yes, we even included our IT person on this call just in case I needed some help. All right. Here is our agenda for today. Chat box check-in. Please put in one word response. And at this time, I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves so you'll know the wonderful people that I have the pleasure of working with. And we're going to go alphabetical order. Professor Dillard, you are up first.
All right, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So, unlike yourself, Sharon, I'm still getting used to the technology, so please bear with me on this. But yes, as you know, I'm glad to be here. My name is Michael Dillard. I am a professor, assistant teaching professor with the School of Public Affairs and Administration, and I've been teaching with SPA now for the past 7 years. In fact, I'm glad to be on this webinar. Actually, I teach the service learning course along with some of my other amazing colleagues that's on, this webinar today. And for me, just for my own, just experience of teaching the course, this is really an important, opportunity for our students to really figure out specifically what it is that they want to do. How can they connect the dots as it relates to the experience that they're learning or the conceptual strategies in the classroom, and then being able to apply it to an organization. More importantly, though, I think that our students are going to really learn the opportunity now dealing with, unfortunately, this pandemic, of being able to understand, well, how do I, work remotely? What are some of the services that I'm going to be able to provide to the customers or to the patients and so forth that we're serving them? How do I adapt to change? Just like all of us, I've had to adapt to change too and uploading all my courses online. So I think that this will be a great opportunity for our students to understand the importance of being able to adapt to change as well. So Sharon, thank you for inviting me to, participate in this.
Thank you, Professor Dillard. Professor Ema.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rachel Emis. I am an assistant teaching professor and director of our Master's in Public Administration program. And so I work with our master's level, our graduate students who are pursuing internships. And I work to hopefully pair them up with faculty who have specialties and research in that specific area. And I'm excited to help answer any questions and address any issues that you have around graduate level student internships.
Thank you, Rachel. Dean Gibbs.
You're still muted. Okay.
Yeah, you can't really talk and hear me if I'm muted, and that's just a horrible way to introduce ourselves. But again, my name is Aaron Gibbs. I am the Associate Dean for Student and Academic Services. I'm so glad to be with you. Thank you for your willingness to partner with our school and our students. We have some amazing students who are looking for experience that will help make them more marketable for organizations like your own. So I'm so glad to be with you today.
Dr. Hamadullah.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I am Medina Hamidullah. I'm an associate research professor with SPA, and I am a former director of the undergraduate program and have always been very, very excited about our student service learning opportunities. I also teach service learning as a course, and just happy to be here talking about virtual opportunities, which is going to be so important for our students. It has been in the past and even more so now. So happy to contribute in any way possible to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean LaPatrillo.
Hello, everyone. It's Alyssa LaPatriello here. So I am the Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Programs. I am also excited to be here today, and I will say that if you have any questions specifically about working with undergraduate students with internships, I help out a lot with the logistics, so you can feel free to direct any questions to me.
Lindsay.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Lindsay McDougall. I'm associate professor here in SPA and director of our undergraduate program. And I'm not sure how many of you on the call today are actually familiar with our BA program, so I'm just going to provide you with a little bit of background in terms of what we prepare our students for, and then hopefully that gives you an idea of what type of internship experiences they might be suitable for. So one of the things to highlight really quickly is just our students are prepared for various roles in government and nonprofit organizations when they complete their degree. And our program, particularly our bachelor's program, provides students with the knowledge, the skills, and the preparation needed to effectively respond to social problems with a particular focus on urban issues that affect our communities. And our students come from all backgrounds. Upon completion of their degrees, they have gone on to pursue advanced education at some of the nation's top graduate schools. They've gone on to lead nonprofit and philanthropic organizations, work in state government, and a host of other pursuits. And in order for them to achieve these goals, one of the cornerstones of our degree program, our bachelor's program in particular, is that they have a required internship that they have to complete. So hopefully this will provide you all with an idea of some of the opportunities that could exist regarding virtual positions within your organization.
Thank you. Rena.
Everyone, my name is Reena Patel. I am the Assistant Dean for the Graduate Program. I'm excited to be on this panel. We have a lot of our undergraduate students who go through service learning and their BA program and eventually come into the MPA program. So I'm excited for them to have the experience to be able to do a virtual internship and take that experience onto the master's program.
And last but not least, and most important to this conversation, Joshua.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joshua Ritchie, the Unit Computing and Data Specialist for SPA. My role in this is more so supporting the faculty and staff who are working directly with the students, but now more than ever, it's very important for remote learning and remote working to take place. So however the faculty can support the students, I want to be there to support the faculty through their use of technology.
Thank you. So as I stated earlier, this conversation is going to be framed around responses that we received, and it's just a sampling. The the invite went out to a number of organizations, over 200 organizations. So this is just a sampling of the people who responded. But just some historical context about the School of Public Affairs and Administration. The school was officially founded in 2006, the 13th in Public Management and Leadership. We have 15 degree and certificate programs, 6 research centers and institutes, to over 25 full-time faculty members, 5 National Academy Public Administration Fellows, over 1,700 alumni, over 500 graduate students, and over 100 undergraduate students. And the numbers in the bottom is significant, where it says 2020 to 21. To this year, it began in 2020, it is not just about COVID. It is the 10th year that the undergraduate program has been in existence and the 45th year that the Masters of Public Administration program has been in existence. And that really does say a lot about the longitude and the ability to create leaders in the next generation. There are a number of us, including myself, who are proud SPA alum that have gained their MPA degree. And you can only imagine the number of fields and industries that our students go into. So that's just to kind of give you some little bit about who we are. When we're talking about undergraduate, when we're talking about internships, please know that they are very different. First and foremost, an internship is required for graduation for undergrad students. Internships are not required for graduation for graduate students. So there's a big difference as to the students who come to you and what they are looking for. As you can see through the slide, they all have to be currently enrolled in the semester when they're going to do the internship. But please look at undergrad students. An undergrad student can do an internship after 12, a transfer student after 12 credits, meaning that they have transferred from probably a university to another university or community college, and as long as they complete 12 credits in our major, they can complete an internship. If they are a first-year student after 24 credits, that means they are entering their junior year. We also have to take into consideration their age and their experience when you are designing a job, an internship for a student. If they are an international student, there are other requirements that they have to complete with our Office of International Student Services. So there may be some additional requirements as a supervisor that you will need to complete. Undergraduate and graduate students must all complete 150 hours, where the undergraduate students will register with a service learning course that lasts throughout the semester. Professor Dillard and Professor Hamadullah both teach that. They are in a course all semester. The graduate students are working independently. They will have a faculty supervisor, but they're not required to be inside a designated classroom. It is really like an independent study. As you can see, that there are requirements that everyone must complete before their internship questionnaire contract is approved. Mid-semester and final evaluations are required both from the student as well as the supervisor. So you're required to do an assessment. And at this time, as we transition to a virtual internship, assessments become even more important. So these were our requirements before COVID-19. Requirements still stand, but we need to be really intentional about what we're going to do and how we plan an internship. the timeline. So I'm a visual person, and so I needed to have some colors. So as you can see, the green boxes are when the semester begins. Each semester or summer session starts after a holiday. January spring semester begins after Martin Luther King, which is about the third week in January. The summer session begins after Memorial Day, so it is literally the last week in May when the summer session begins. And then September, the fall semester always begins after Labor Day. So most students will start a internship at the beginning of the semester. However, if you look at the yellow boxes, students register for these semesters months in advance. If a student is planning to do an internship in the summer, registration opens up in February. If they're doing an internship in the fall, registration begins late March, usually the first week in April. If they are looking to do an internship in the spring, registration begins the end of October, the beginning of November. So if there's an opportunity and you need an internship, students need to know this when they go to meet their advisor, when they go to meet with their assistant dean. We need to have access to those job descriptions. So one of the things, the reason we need your input is because we are creating new policies. If you are interested in one of our students interning in your organization, we need to receive your job description by March for a fall internship, by December, no later than January for a summer internship, and by October for a spring internship. Students, as we stated earlier, our students are not just looking for jobs. Internships will give them experience for their career. We want them to have time to plan and be thoughtful in selecting an internship, but we also want them to be a good fit for you. And we want to make sure that there's enough time and not at the last minute to just register for an internship just for the sake of getting credit. That just isn't beneficial for you as an organization and or the student. These are some of the responses from the people from the registered for this webinar. And I wanted to share it to give my colleagues some insight as to who is responding to our webinars and who is responding to all of our communication. Of the people who registered for this, the question was, what are the number of employees? 58% of the organization have between 0 and 25 employees. Of the respondents, 60% of them are nonprofit organizations. We do have some municipal agencies that responded, as well as colleges and universities have also responded, but 60% are nonprofit organizations. 63% of our respondents had more than one intern within the last year. Some of our organizations have had as many as up to 14 and have done 60 students placement because of what they do. 63% of our respondents have already established internship policies. As we do know, most of the internships are unpaid. 48% of our registrants are offering unpaid internships, but there are some that offer compensation, whether it's hourly. Some do offer a stipend at the end of the internship, and some offer travel expenses. Of our respondents, 75% have had at least one intern. 38% of them have had a spa intern. We asked this question, how did you hear about this event? 65% of our respondents responded based on an email. I included this because a lot of our students don't necessarily respond to email invitations. They follow us on our social media pages, and they respond based on social media platforms. So now we're having communication, whereas 65% of our community-based partners responded based on email. When we ask questions, similar questions to our students, they find out information through social media. So how do we connect that gap to where our students are getting information from the community partners and vice versa? Definition and a description of an internship. And I'm going to start with an internship is not a job. It is not for our students to do grunt work, to get coffee. Not saying that those things don't happen, but that is not what an internship is. An internship is a learning experience. And really, you become the instructor. You become the person that is giving them experience, that what they learned in class, they can then apply it in a professional setting that gives them the opportunity to make the connection. It is where theory makes practice. We have great faculty members that explain policy theory, but becomes your responsibility to make sure that that connection is made in the internship. It becomes even more important when we are now talking about a virtual remote internship. And at this particular time, a lot of the planning and onus falls on the organization. It is going to require planning from you. You're going to need to be clear about what you want accomplished when the student is not sitting in the office, when they're not meeting your constituents and the people that you're serving. It is extremely important to have constant communication with them. You have to give them deadlines and deliverables. Our graduate students have to submit a research paper. So they really need to have be put in charge of a project, that they are responsible for having a deliverable, that they will then give you a presentation on what you want to have accomplished. So as you are thinking about your organization in this new norm, please think about what is your mission, what are your goals, and how do you align the job description for intern to both of those things. This 7-point criteria has been designed by the National Association of Colleges. This criteria, when you are designing your job description for the internship, please understand that it is a learning experience. It is not to advance operations of their employer, because if that's the case, then you need to hire them for a job. The skills or knowledge learned must be transferable to any other employment setting. It has to be defined with a beginning and an end. What the time hours? When do they check in? How often do you meet with them? The learning goals and objectives need to be clearly stated in the job description, in your training. At this point, there's sometimes, students that come in. We have great students that come in because they want to help. They just jump in and don't necessarily get a lot of training. When we're talking about a virtual internship, they need to understand your organization before COVID-19 and what is your organization going to look like after COVID-19. So it really becomes important for you to be clear about what you want to do. That there is a dedicated professional who will be supervising and answering questions and providing feedback. The 7th one is there are resources, equipment, and facilities provided by the host employer. Well, as we now are transitioning to a virtual remote place, the question becomes, does the student have a laptop? Do they have a desktop? Whatever you are currently experiencing in your own personal life with your work life, imagine what our students are going through. We have students who are students, but they are now also teachers homeschooling their children. They may not necessarily have all of the resources and equipment to be able to do a virtual internship. So being sensitive about that as you design it becomes really important. What I wanted to include, one of the questions that I asked was, in order to hire a qualified intern employee, what skills should they possess? And these are the responses from the people who registered. Their primary skill sets that they are looking for: communication, computer, critical thinking, customer service, adaptability, and flexibility. I found interesting that social media was secondary. Problem solving and time management. Social media, time management, and problem solving and active listening for a virtual internship is extremely important. People did not, budgeting ended up on the third at the end. We're talking about limited resources. So we really need to be intentional about, when you design your job description, the skill sets that you are looking for, how do they align to the task? How do they align to the assignments? How do they align to projects? It is extremely important that even in the interview that you talk about the skill sets that the students feel are important to them, that they have. So we recommend that you do an interview for your intern. Provide examples of when these skill sets are required in your organization. I cannot say this and stress it even enough. Feedback, feedback, feedback is extremely important in a virtual remote internship. As I get to the end of this aspect of our conversation, when you want to have success, these are just some tips that that in my research we have found was really important. And as we are remote learning, these are important to me and my colleagues as well. Choose the best platform that works with you. There are so many of them. I can't tell you, I can't even begin to tell you how many tutorials, whether it is Zoom, WebEx, Google, Microsoft Teams, Skype, GoToMeeting, there's free conference call, Uber conferencing. Which platform works best for your organization? Which platform works best for you? Because we now have to develop a skill set of remote learning engagement. It was not one of the, on my resume, it wasn't one of my top skill sets, but I'm learning. So make that decision early. You have to have a designated person. Now, the intern may work with different people in your organization, but to ensure consistency and continuity, there needs to be one person or two that is responsible for answering all of the interns' questions, to serve as the liaison between the organization and the School of Public Affairs and Administration. If there's something that comes up, you may not hear from the student. We need to know who that person is that will serve as that contact. Sometimes job descriptions, and that can be a completely whole session on how to design an effective job description. Job description really needs to be detailed, which means it requires some thought. It needs to include a start date, an end date, the days that the student will be working, the days that the student will check in and attend meetings with you. What are the deliverables? It should include a timeline and deadline. Communication. Communication is extremely important in this virtual space. The interview is going to be a virtual interview. Your weekly check-in. How are you going to get feedback? If the student doesn't necessarily have great Wi-Fi access? What type of feedback? Do you use text messaging? Everyone must do a mid-semester and a final evaluation. You need to provide guidance, and hopefully you mentor our students into their career. What we are recommending for virtual internships is training and orientation. Understanding the history and the culture of your organization, as I stated before COVID-19, and as you are learning what your new normal, what are your plans moving forward for the organization? How are you going to continue to do the impactful work that you are doing? Incentives. Students have lost jobs. Family members have lost jobs. Most students didn't mind doing an unpaid internship. We're in a new space nowadays where it may need to be some form of compensation for them to be successful. We don't know what number of students are returning in the fall or when we reopen because of the impact of the COVID-19. So what type of incentives can you provide outside and understanding that your resources are limited? There's hourly rate, a lump sum stipend. Well, if we're not traveling, what other type of incentives can you provide? Being able to say to the student that they have to be able to get a letter of recommendation, that they be able to tap into your networking base and your contacts, attending meetings, giving them opportunities to do other things that you do in your organization. Incentives is just really about being innovative and creative with what the student can get benefit from. Because we're going to send you some qualified students. We just want to make sure that this is a learning experience. And evaluations are going to become even more important. A pre and post assessment before they start the internship and after they finish the internship. And pre and post assessment is really strategic for you because it will then help you design what your organization, the programming should look like moving forward. As I stated earlier, the students have to do a midterm evaluation of the organization, midterm and final evaluation of the organization, and you are required to do evaluation of the student. One of the things in my role as we are transitioning is that we're going to vet organizations to create a directory of standard organizations who we know that our students will be able to go and get a good experience. So as an organization from a school perspective, from an organization as a school perspective, we're going to evaluate you so that way we can say we have 30 to 40 organizations who we know our students, whether they are undergrad or graduate, will be able to get an awesome experience. And that now takes us to our Q&A. I have listed some resources to follow us. It's important to follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We also work with the Rutgers University Newark Career Development Center. They have a platform called Handshake. If your organization is looking for other students with different majors and different backgrounds, you can post your job description on their website. But be mindful, they will definitely review the job description before they make it available, as well as we recommend that you review the Department of Labor internship guidelines to make sure that as you are designing your job description for the internship, that you meet all of the guidelines. But at this time, before we open it up for Q&A, I want to open it up to my colleagues, my staff, and the faculty that I work with to provide some other remarks or insights that I may have missed. Thank you.
So this is Dr. Emis. I just want to give a quick shout out to two of the attendees who represent organizations that our MPA students have interned with in the past year and a half. The first I'll point out, which is a group that I work with for my own research, is the City of Newark's Office of Sustainability. We've had multiple interns with them who were able to get grant funding and paid employment, which is always excellent. And the second is Jersey Cares. And that student, in the middle of the semester, her supervisor called me to say, can I hire this person before graduation occurs? And of course I said, yes, just make sure she writes her paper. And so these are really incredible organizations that I'm so fortunate our students had the opportunity to work with. And it makes me even happier that they're here to learn about future students and their internship potential. So I'm very excited. There's lots of great organizations here, but those are two that I really wanted to mention by name and thank them for what they've done for our students and hopefully will continue to do.
Awesome. And this is Lindsay, the director of the undergraduate program. I just wanted to highlight one of the things that Sharon mentioned, and I'm glad that you did, about the current environment that we're in and providing resources for students to actually get paid during their internship experience. At the undergraduate level, in particular, if you are an organization, a nonprofit government entity that does not have a great deal of resources to provide compensation to students, we do have a scholarship fund, the Roper Scholarship Fund, which provides students who are in low paid or underpaid or no paid internship experiences with between $1,000 and $1,500 per semester. So even if you don't have a great deal of resources that you can provide students, there are some funding opportunities to sort of make up for any deficiencies that might exist.
Are there any other comments? And I'm just seeing in the chat room that you weren't able to hear me. This this webinar is being recorded. I will make sure that everyone sends it out so you can listen to it at your leisure.
Yeah, hi everyone, this is Medina, and I was just going to add that these opportunities are a great way for us to be creative in still maintaining and giving our students great and valuable experiences during, challenging times or times in which we may not be able to have access to all the things that we may normally have. It would be remiss if we didn't mention that monitoring and engaging an intern is work. And we appreciate you taking the time to even be here and listening to us talk about it and considering it. And so we definitely are asking you to give a little of your time to help, monitor someone, find something for someone to do. Those things are all cost to you and your time. And what we're hoping is that the return from the student is enough, valuable enough to your organization, and we prepared that student enough to be able to give something that is of value. And so as you're thinking about possibly opening up your organizations to receiving an intern, a virtual intern at that, we, just think about, what is there a project that maybe we can ask this student to do? Is there someone that, they can be of help and assistance to? Just keep those things in mind. And again, we just really appreciate taking the time to be here to begin with, because we know the time and the investment that, we're asking of you. And that's not always as simple and easy for every organization to do so. So if any questions, we're all here, our information's online. If there are any direct questions, we have had students that have.
She don't know because she don't want to know.
You're muted, Medina.
Medina, you're muted.
Oh, am I? I'm sorry. I've been sitting here talking this whole time.
Just a small portion of it, you were muted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I don't know where I stopped. I don't know when I got muted. But again, our information is there, our information is available, and if there's things or if you have questions or different things like that, please don't hesitate. We've had students go through these virtual internships before over the summer. Sometimes their organization is not local to us, or they've traveled and they've been the one traveling and they needed to do their internship remotely. So we've guided students through this before, and we're here for you and your organization and the students to be as helpful when we need. And again, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, and just briefly to follow up with what Medina is saying. So as I said in the introduction, there are students that we've had who have gone on to do really amazing things. So if you have opportunities within your organizations that could really highlight their current skills or abilities, that would be great. So we've had students who have been the youngest city managers here in the township in New Jersey, the youngest school board member in Jersey City, the first African-American CEO of the Girl Scouts within New Jersey. And we've also had individuals who've gone on to Harvard Law or really great graduate programs. So our students have a number of skills that can be very useful within your organization. So you really want to allow them to capitalize and utilize those skills for the benefit of your agencies.
Do we have any questions? From our audience members? Yes, no, maybe? Am I missing them? Josh, can you see if there are any questions in the chat
I
box?
don't see anything right now.
There's some here now. Do you see them?
Oh, yeah, they're coming in now.
They're coming in.
Oh, you see them? I don't see any.
Yeah, in the Q&A section. So
oh, Q&A section. Okay, Sharon. Yeah, you have to go to the Q&A section, not the chat.
right.
Oh, yeah, there are questions. Yeah.
So the summer semester is about 12 weeks long.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, students can do internships in the summer. Again, how you all work out that work is up to you, creating that schedule, creating the timeline, ensuring that evaluations are done and the deliverables are provided. It's only a couple weeks shorter than a regular semester, given that everything is remote and online now. It even increases the flexibility since you don't need to complete the same number of hours in a physical location. And so remote internships actually really work well over the summer. I've had students do internships almost every summer that I've been here, and it works really well.
Just to piggyback that point, the internship would need to be offered and secured soon, though, because the summer session starts on May 26th. So ideally, we need to get the student registered for class. So, if it's something that you do have, whether it be a job description in place that we can circulate out to our students so that we can help with that evaluation process so that we can try to get the students within registered for the class before, I'm going to say May 15th would be ideal.
So that's in response to being behind the timeline question, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
So the person who asked that last question, for those looking in the Q&A, if anyone's looking for a graduate level intern, I want to introduce you to our excellent student, Misty Ward, who asked that question and is clearly excited and willing to invest her time and energy in securing an internship for this summer. So she knows what it takes and she has the skills to be successful. So if you wanted to connect with her, we can talk via email, but we've already got a student ready for you guys. If you have a job description ready, I think possibly you should send it to Director Stroy and she will link up with whomever the most appropriate contact would be. So if you're looking for a graduate student intern, that would be myself. If you're looking for an undergraduate student intern, that process is very different because that's a required course. And so she would work with Dr. McDougall, Dr. Hamidullah, Dr. Dillard, et cetera, so that we could find you the best student who has the skills to perform the tasks necessary.
If we don't have any more questions, please feel free to email me at sharon.stroy@rutgers.edu. I want to thank all of our panelists. Please give them a hand clap in your home for being on this call for us. And as we move forward in this space, we want, as I stated earlier, we want to work together. So I want to thank everyone. And yes, this was recorded. Hopefully, I see that the volume was low. I'm in this new normal with this technology space as well. Earlier today, it was working fine. I don't know what happened. But I want to thank all of you for your attention, all of you for participating. And to my SPA family, thank you for all of your support and as we move forward. Everyone be safe, take care of yourself, and have a blessed evening. Bye, family.